Hello Flosstube, my name is Laura and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you like what you see and I would love to know more about your stitching journey. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. As always, I so appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. And what you stitching today? Or what are you doing while you're watching the videos? So today I am actually filming, or this video I am actually filming slightly earlier than my normal Friday morning. I have a conflict on Friday morning, so I am filming early and you will see it actually on Friday though. So everything will be just the same. And then schedule should be fine and everything be back to regular filming next week. So let's just get started and get going then. Because I worked on an event this weekend, I actually have quite a bit to show you, even though I am filming a bit early. So I'm super excited about that. Normally when I do some of my full finishes, I mix them in among all of my other stitching just because it's fun that way. But I thought I would show you this one today. So I am going to start with a full finish. It's very, very simple, but you know me, I love simple. I actually finished this on St. Patrick's Day. Now this was a freebie pattern from, I'll have to check. If anybody is interested, let me know. And you know what? I'll put it in the description box. I did change it though. I want to say I think I either added or took out something here because I wanted a specific shape. And then I found, I just went online and Googled like to be able to cross stitch letters, and some, free random site had come up. I'll see if I wrote that down. I originally stitched this a few years ago at this point, and it just sat waiting for me to fully finish. And I just thought the little kind of sort of cursive was super cute. So I don't do sewing. So making pillows for me is just something that, I suppose with a lot of work and effort, lots of tutorials maybe. But what I did was I just made this super, super puffy. So there are actually 4 layers of interfacing underneath this guy to kind of let it puff out. And I know some of you with these corners are going to be shuddering because they're not perfect points. But actually, ironically, they all came out exactly the same. So they kind of look like I did it purposely that way. And I kind of like how it's not the straight rectangle, but it has slight little diagonal corners to each side. So it was a happy accident. It worked out that way. I actually attempted to lace. Did I watch any videos? No. Did I look anything up? No. I just grabbed some sulky thread and I just started pulling. So it's probably not the best lacing job you'll ever see, but you know what? It worked. So, and it's just a small little hanger that I wanted to do. Very simple hunter green ribbon. It just has felt on the back. I thought about, did I want like a puffy layer on the back to make the whole thing puffy, but I just thought this was cute. I probably would have tried, I was going to try to do more batting, but I only had a certain amount of fabric around my stitched piece left. So 4 it was. So it was fun. I liked doing that. And I have no idea if I laced properly or not. I'm going to have to do a little research on that. But hey, we all try something every once in a while, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time it was a happy accident. It worked. So there's another full finish in my 55 for 55. If you're new, what I'm trying to do is fully finish 55 of my stitch pieces for my 55th birthday. Well, not before. I'm an October birthday, so I'm giving myself the entire year of 2024, but you know what I mean. So that was my full finish. So super excited about that. The other thing I wanted to address, because periodically I get questions from people who are newer to my channel, and welcome if you are, about my floss holders. So these containers here are they hold all of my DMC floss. If you want to see a full breakdown, it's only like a 6 or 7 minute video, I think, maybe 10 minutes, I'm not sure. If you go to my playlist, there'll be one on craft room organization. Now there's not a lot there. I've done a video on this. I did a video on kind of like a tall standing craft table IKEA hack where we took different pieces and we made a tall table. So you can see that there. I still have ideas for organization. So one of these days I just have to really figure out what I'm doing, and I can show you an entire craft room tour and then maybe break up some different things of organization that I'm doing. That might be interesting. But yes, one question I do always get is, yes, each one of these holds a single color of DMC. And I just put them back in when they're done and then just keep rotating them in and out. So, but if you would like to see the full video on it and what it is and everything else, check my playlist. And if you have questions from watching that, if I forgot to answer something, that's perfectly, it's completely plausible that I did. So feel free to ask. All right, so let's get going on my stitching. I'm gonna need my notebook too today because I participated in the Whip Warriors group Riff Off. And basically it's an event that it reminded me very much in some ways of Whip Frenzy, where, you know, you would just go from project to project. But this one, you had to have a plan when you went from project to project. So they started off with the theme of fun, and you chose whether or not you stitched 100, 200, or 500 stitches per project. I chose 200 because I felt like that would get me some, you know, some good progress. And if I did 100, you know, you'd be really blowing through projects, but then not getting enough work on them. So I went with the 200. And what you had to do was you started with the one that has a theme of fun, and then you had to connect number 1 to number 2 and number 2 to number 3 and keep going like that. You couldn't repeat the theme. So if I had picked birds, I couldn't use it more than once. And unless you ran out of projects, you couldn't repeat your projects. Well, there was no danger of me doing that. So I could have probably, I did have a few more. I ended up getting 9 in the time frame. I had 3 more potentials, but that was the time I had. So, and I did a minimum of 200 per piece. Okay, so let's get started. So fun. The first one was the theme of fun, and you know me, I think of all things beachy and everything else fun. So I chose this piece. This is Signs Series Summer from Twin Peak Primitives. Now, last time I showed you this, you know I had the conundrum of the middle pole. If you look closely, it's actually, and it's charted this way too, it's stitched crooked. So this pole is over this way 1 stitch, and this one's over this way 1 stitch. So they don't actually line up. And I had so many great suggestions to, don't worry about it, just stitch it, to ripping out the top or doing the bottom. I ended up, because the thought of doing some more ripping, even though it's not a huge area, I just didn't want to do it. So I moved this pole over down here to line up with the top part. And I think it looks fine. So I might have to do a few things adjusting the bottom when I get down to, as you can see, what I'm doing now is I counted down from here, and I will do, I think what I'll do is I'll end up stitching the things down here, and then because some of them may come in a little bit differently than charted, and then I will just work the pole that way. It's not going to be as big a deal on this row, but on the next row, it becomes a bit more of a bigger deal. But then that'll just leave the pole and the to the end, and that'll be nice and easy stitching at that point. So this is done on an 18 count Carmel Macchiato, and it is from Fabrics by Stephanie. And so for this week, so what I did was I did my 200 stitches, I put the projects away, and then I would work on something else. I did my best to come back and at least get another 100 to 150. It didn't happen with all of them, but I did get a little bit more work done because I wanted to get a little bit more progress in each and every of the pieces. So I did the entire pole here, and then I have kind of like the top of the snorkel kind of thing with the start of the glasses. Those were the same color, so I did them. But what was really important then is I need to get the women in and then work my way. So I got one of the hats in, which was surprisingly hard to count. I had messed up, but luckily I had messed up in a way that I just had to add stitches. I didn't have to take, I think I took 2 or 3 out, and that was it. So yeah, so this was my snow stitch this year, which it really didn't snow. I think next year, I think I've seen somebody do oh, who was it? It might have been Stitching in the Burrow. She might have done one where she had a precipitation stitch. Well, we had tons of rain, and so that was a great idea, because I could certainly see getting a, maybe next winter now, what I'll do is, you know, if it snows, do a certain amount, and maybe if it rains, do, I don't know, but kind of, because we certainly get more rain than snow. And the snow we did get was pretty much just all flakes flying around. We never actually got anything on the ground. So, or I could do a temperature, because it gets cold enough too. So we'll see. But this one now just becomes a regular old stitch. I think it'll be fun. There's a lot of different things there to add and everything else that you can find for prompts. So I think it would be a good one for prompts. So that first one was for fun. Then we decided to make the connection of lighthouse. So there's a lighthouse here. And let me put that down here. There is a lighthouse on the shores of Hawran Hollow. So that's the next one that I stitched. Now my stitch for Shores of Hawran Hollow, here you go, nice good picture, is going to look different than this. I've had this for years, and then leading up to leap year, Nancy the Disorderly Stitcher, and I have the information, so I know I'll put that down in the description box, started a stitch along. And she decided to do it for leap year. So basically the idea was she cut the entire piece up. This is into eighths, I think. This is into, all of them are into fourths. So that it would work out that if you stitched a certain amount each month, by the end of 4 years, you would have a complete finish. And it wouldn't be so daunting. I mean, looking at this, I mean, this is huge. And so I had been thinking about stitching this, and I wasn't sure I wanted to stitch the whole thing, but I really wanted to jump on to the stitch along with Nancy. So that got me thinking about Megan, the Georgia Girl Stitching, and let's see, where is the picture? She, it's got to be here somewhere. She ended up breaking it down and not doing all 12. It's turned this way, and it's 2, the middle one, and then 2 below. So it's not these exact, but think of the breakdown like this, and that would be how it was set up. And I loved what she had done, and I asked her if it was okay if I did that as well, and she very graciously said yes. And I am not going to find the picture today. Oh, here it is. I got it. Oh, good. So this is what Megan had charted. Not charted, but rearranged, I guess is the best way to say it, from the 12. And so now I'm stitching 5, but you know, 1 is a double. And I just love that. Let me write down, I want to put down Megan's channel, because hers is, she's got the top 2 done, and she is now working, well, she had the middle, a good portion of the middle done, so it's really cool. So if you want to go check out her channel, if you're not already watching. I was really inspired by the model color, so I actually kept a similar color. The colors of the flosses a little bit are different. You can see this is a brighter red than what is called for here. This is 18 count. It's called Pale Ale and is from Dying for Cross Stitch. If you want to check out the stitch along, go to Nancy the Disorderly Stitcher. She has a video, I believe, just dedicated to it. Plus, you know, she talks about it in her regular floss tubes. And the hashtag is #Shores HRH 2024 SAL. All of that will be linked down below if you would like to see it. And so, yeah, so I've only done 3 colors. My breakdown obviously would be different because I'm only doing 5 of the squares, say 6 with the double. So it's basically half the amount of what would be in the original. So I'm not sure I will follow necessarily the time frame, but Nancy has said, do what you want to do, have fun with it, and just get a chance to stitch it. So I thought this one is also a good one. I mean, look at all of the options, even what's in, I'll only do what's in mine. I'm not going to pick something that I'm not stitching and say that's for a prompt or whatever if I'm not stitching it. I think I'll just pretend that this one now, the new mock-up, is my, you know, kind of piece. So yeah, so that's what it looks like so far. So I'm sure you will see it pulled out for various things over the next don't think it'll take me 4 years. I hope it doesn't take me 4 years. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. It should take a little bit less than that, hopefully. So we'll see. So that one there, the first tie was lighthouse. So then I actually, this pattern has a lot of, where's my thing to make sure I get the right connection? Yep, water. So you see there's a lot of water here. So that was my next connection to the next piece. And the piece I pulled out, which I really do want to get it finished this year, is Summer at the Shore. And it is by Cottage Garden Samplings. And I do so enjoy stitching on this one. Now, I did discover a mistake, and I'm not sure if I have to go back to Cottage Garden Samplings and see. So there's two mistakes. One on the chart that I have, and they might have since fixed it because it is listed in errors, is the, do you see like the ship sails and part of the seagull and everything? They have it charted, the DMC alternative is 7865, which clearly is not a DMC color. So I think it's 762, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure. I'm sure now they might have fixed them because that was on the website. The other thing I noticed is that, and it is mischarted on my pattern. So I followed my pattern. But if you can see here, this is completely equal on both sides, the lighter brown on both sides with the darker brown in the middle. In the chart, it's actually, this is one too many. So I didn't realize that when I was, I just followed the chart. And then afterwards I was just about done and I said, oh, this is a little bit different width. It's fine. It doesn't really bother me. But if you are somebody that wants things very symmetrical, I would just give you a heads up on that. I don't know if the charts have since been fixed on that, but make sure if you want both sides of the light brown to be exactly the same, make sure you check the counting on that. So this is where I am. This is 18 count Compelling Conchis by Those Missing Stitches. And I just love that deep blue, kind of watery blue. And I really like, part of what I wanted to do was I wanted to do blue, but you know, a lighter blue wouldn't necessarily have shown all of this kind of, it's gray, but I'm going to call it more white stitching. So this really pops. So this I think was already done. So now what I have to do, if you can see, I'm doing all of the outline first, and then this will all be just fill in, which will be really great. It would be good for a Zoom stitch or if I was stitching somewhere in person. So I did that. I worked on some more of the lighthouse. I also worked more on the seagull. So part here on the bottom, and then I started to pull in some of the colors here. He's almost done. There's a little bit more here going through, but once that's done, that's easy. The lighthouse is super easy to do because it's just blocks of color. So the only counting I'll have left is the waves, and then it's all fill in. So this is very much so on the docket to be a finish this year. And I just so enjoy it. I'm sure it'll go into the scrapbook. I don't have any other plans for it specifically, but I just have so much fun with it. So that's that one right there. That is Summer at the Shore. Now, if we look at the pattern to see my connection for my next piece. So here, you'll notice there is a ship. So that is the connection. Double checking, yep. I was calling it a boat, and then I said, well, it's a bit more like a ship, right? And over here on Black Vintage Sampler, we have a ship. So that was my connection, which was really great because of my rotation of 4 larger projects, it was actually this week was its turn, Black Vintage Sampler's turn. This is by Alforst Embroidery. So it was just perfect timing. I probably, depending on which piece was, I'm sure I would have done all 4 of them have lots of different elements, so I'm sure I could have made a connection. But, you know, how perfect that it already was a connection. So let me lean back for a second. This is what it looks like in whole. This is 18 count Rainy Day from Bestitchme. And it is just what I had in my mind. I am stitching this with Anchor Black. So it's all monochromatic. I'm not doing any other colors added into it. But I just really, really love, if you can see, kind of the moodiness of this Rainy Day fabric. How perfect. So I'm holding it up too, because if we fold to the side for a minute, I have been doing a lot of work trying to get the border. So as you can see down to right here now, these ships, the border has matched up completely. I mean, I do have to go in and fill in all the flowers and everything in between flowers and leaves, but that's easy. And again, that would be good kind of zoom stitching because it's repetitive. So I had started and I did some, and then I had some more to fill in here. So luckily everything has still matched up. I have been counting everything off of these elements, which is why I'm not all the way down at the bottom yet, because I need to stitch some more elements. I'm thinking, I've been debating on what I've been doing is going all the way over with the bottom border. So that's another thing of what I did this week was I was over here. So I was here. So I did all of this over here, brought this flower up. There's a crab right here. So that will fill in. There's some bubbles, stray bubbles here and there. So I'll do those probably at the end, or if I had like a little piece, a scrap of floss, I'd throw in some more bubbles. So the crab is almost done, and this flower just needs a tiny little bit to it left. So then at that point, I just repeat, the only thing repeated, this right here gets repeated in the middle, and then it gets repeated one more time here. And then you have the flower with the border going up. So I'm thinking that I might continue doing this here and maybe, you know, flip it upside down, work on probably the ship, because that's a nice big piece, and that would be perfect to make sure I'm counting everything off of. Finish that border and then go back and start doing all of the little bits of bubbles, and there's a little back stitching, and if you'll notice on this side, some of the flowers have their centers in them. These down here do not. So there's lots of little bits and pieces to do. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot to it. So if you are jumping on board, yay, I can't wait. Tell me you are so I can see what you're doing. It is so fun to see. I can think off the top of my head 3 other people stitching this who are stitching it completely different. And then if you want to see a totally completed piece, Mary from Mary Stitching Corner, I think she finished it last year. I don't think it was even something that she had to carry over from this year. And because hers was I think it was a birthday start a couple years ago. This one for me was a 2023 New Year, New Start. So we are going to get it finished in 2024. I am convinced. And it seems to be working well, every 4 weeks doing 500 stitches on it. And then, you know, if that's part of the fun too with some of these challenges, because I wouldn't necessarily pull out some of these pieces, but they work perfect for a challenge. So let's pull it out. So before I put this away, now the gentleman looks kind of funny because he doesn't have a face yet that's backstitched, but you'll notice he's wearing a hat, even kind of like a top hat. So I could have designated top hat even more, but I just went with hat. So the hat is the next connection. And I pulled out something you haven't seen yet this year. And this is my little turkey. So the full pattern I think is called Be Thankful. And it's Crocette Gogo. And it was from the fall 2023 Punch, Needle, and Primitive Stitcher magazine. Now, I am not stitching all of it. I am only stitching the turkey and the little bird on his hat. So everything else you will not see stitched. And I just want to make them a cute little like ornament sort of thing. I have a few different things that I put out in here in and among my craft area for Thanksgiving, and it'd be fun to have a few more. So there's a few other things that might be fun to stitch. That would be nice and small, especially for ornaments, because I have the hooks underneath my shelves, so it'd be nice to fill them with some stuff like that. So that's where I am. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this fabric. It's 18 count, and it's kind of like an oatmeal-ish rustic sort of fabric. I was gifted this fabric by a lovely individual, and I love it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a little stiffer as an Aida, but it's not hard to work with. You can see it. It's soft but sturdy. I don't know exactly how to explain it. And it's really very nice. And I actually really like I like the little kind of pattern and wave. I did purposely go with the lines this way as opposed to stitching the turkey this way. I just thought it kind of went a little bit better. So I worked on these two feathers, this feather, and then the star, and then actually you can kind of see it pretty good in person. You can see it. It's all going to be filled in, but this is, I think it's a white. I don't think it's an ecru, but all of that will have stitching around it and everything else. So it doesn't really matter if it doesn't show up super bright. So that's where I am on that. That's my turkey. I thought it was fun to bring it out. This little guy hasn't been stitched since I probably started it last November, would be my guess. I don't have that book here with me. I have some of my little stitching. Well, for example, I have my stitching challenge book because we're talking about the challenge here and everything. But I don't have that book, so I'm not sure. But it'll be a fairly quick stitch. The hardest part was I printed it off from, I get the online digital version of the magazines, and then I just print the pattern off, because something like this I would do paper. I wouldn't do digital. And it's funny, the print off didn't print very well, to be honest with you. But I just went and it's fairly blocks of different symbols. So I went and looked at the original, and I just wrote all over my printed copy what symbol is what, and then I'm just crossing it off as I go. So it's fine, not too difficult. So there it is. There's Mr. Turkey. He'd be cute to have finished by Thanksgiving. I mean, certainly he could be he should be a finish this year. So I'll have to find some more fun little challenges to pull him out for. Okay, so he's a turkey. He's a bird. That was what my connection was. Let me double check to make sure I didn't mess it up. Yep. So then we're looking for a pattern that has a bird. And so I went through my patterns and I decided I wanted to pull out Librarian's house. And this is from Stone Street Stitch. I hadn't stitched on this one a while. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, and I started this in September. Our version of a sampler sort of thing for Sampler September. And it is #Librarian Sampler Sal, if you would like to join us. Mine looks different because I kind of changed up some of the colors of it. I didn't change the red. I wanted that color was pretty much what sold me on this piece. I just really liked it. And so I kept that, and then I changed a bunch of others. If you want to see Beth's, hers is a beautiful option too, and she did keep it more true. So if you absolutely love the, I'm just gonna write myself a note to link up Beth's videos. If you want to see much more true to the pattern version, go check out Beth's videos. So I love it. I didn't even attempt. I'm pulling out the roof if you're new. I'm changing it up, and I'm going to, I don't know if I'm making the roof, I can't remember if I'm making it that green and then I'm making the house red. I am from Connecticut, and I lived in West Hartford, which is where the Noah Webster house is. And Noah Webster is basically the father of dictionaries, right? And one of his parents was actually a librarian. So how perfect. And I've been to the Noah Webster house many times. So I just have to figure out, I have to look at the pictures. I can't remember what color the roof is. The house is kind of that red, so that'll get changed. But I just didn't have it in me to pull out stitches for this event. I wanted to put in stitches, so I ignored all this, pretended it didn't exist, and I went over here instead. So this is 18 count Darling David, from Those Missing Stitches. And oh, I love this. This is a favorite fabric of mine from Those Missing Stitches. As different as Compelling Conchis, I absolutely adore, and I have a few different pieces of that as well. This in a different way, I really like what Lynn created, and you're going to actually see another pattern on a new start on this as well coming up. So you can see here, there's no blue in the original. I changed where the flowers were. It was kind of a brownish, greenish, brownish, maybe like a old avocado color. Not 100% sure. I went with kind of more of a denim-y color, and I thought that went really well with the reds. And I changed up the birds themselves are a different color. The greenery is a little different. The border is a little different. So lots of different changes. If you look in the description box, if you are interested in seeing what I did, you may go a whole different route yourself, but it should all be in the description box. And if I forget anything, you can always... This decade of my life, I definitely... I have the things in my head, and then I blink and they're gone. And then sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. It's just kind of a brain foggy-ish kind of time, this decade of mine. So I don't always 100%. I plan on doing something, and then you know how you kind of walk in your room and like, I don't know what it was anymore. So feel free to kind of, if I forget, to get back to you. It's not purpose. It's not on purpose, I should say. It's completely a little bit of my age at the moment. I'm hoping, you know, as I kind of veer through my 50s and head into 60s, that, you know, the kind of that brain fog will kind of go away and I'll be better again. But anyway, that's that one right here. And I just so enjoy this piece. It's a lot of fun because you get a lot of different parts to it. I'm a little bogged down because the house is really kind of bumming me out a bit. I really wished I had thought about, the original is stitched with the red roof and then the different color house. I was going to do kind of like a bluish house, but then I had this great idea, you know, the grand idea of Noah Webster and all of that. And so that changed everything. Unfortunately, I had stitched this really well. So it's very slow going, trying to take it out. So it does bog me down just a little bit, and sometimes because I feel like, ooh, you should be pulling those stitches out rather than putting more in when I pull it out. So sometimes it doesn't see as much work as it could. But there's some really fun elements to it, and I really do like, you know, all of the different colors that I've been working with. So hopefully I'll pull it out again. So what was my connection from this one to my next piece? Well, a librarian's house, if it's not going to have anything in it, it's going to have books, right? I mean, you can't have a librarian's house and not have books. So thinking of books, that takes me to my next. And let me see here. Let me go to another folder where the pictures are a bit more. This one has just less of pictures and that easier to find. So of course, a haunted library would also have books in it. So we go from a librarian. Here we have actually a librarian ghost. So, you know, I thought that was a cute little clever way to connect the two. And this one, why not get some work? I had mentioned last time how I was kind of like all over the place, and somebody had mentioned that they told me, you know how everybody is doing the whole break up your pieces into 12 or whatever, and then stitch that part per month, and then in a year from now you'll have it finished. And somebody suggested that for this. Great idea. I haven't gotten to doing that yet. And then I was watching, let me write down Dawn. I was watching Dawn, who is Enchanting Stitching. I think it's Enchanting Stitching and not Enchanting Stitcher. It will be linked down below. Dawn is stitching this. Dawn, if you want to see Mira's, watch Dawn. She is starting a whole bunch this year, and she's got them going, and she's got some beautiful work. Mira's in full coverage, quite a bit. But she's also stitching this, and she did break this up. I think she's stitching with a group of others, and they each pick a number kind of thing of an area to stitch. And so I remember her seeing it. She had started stitching. I think her area is where this would be, Dracula, and she had gotten started with it. I decided with this, I wanted to focus on this area when I was working on this for the riff off. So you can see now, I don't know, is this supposed to be, I don't know if that's the Grim Reaper or a Phantom or what it's supposed to be, but now you can actually kind of see what it is. I worked on that, filled in some more stairs, worked in all of this. So I think that's basically, yeah, I kind of stayed in just that area. So what I might try to do is finish this area next time and then work around here. I am changing the clown. The clown kind of just gives me the uncomfortables. So I'm going to put a typewriter there instead. What else? Oh, 18 count Imagine from Mystic Fabric. Yes, it is wild, but I think it'll be really tamed by the time everything's stitched. So I'm really enjoying it. I think it's going to look great. And all the colors really pop on it. So not happening in March because this month has just been super busy with things that I have to do and appointments and this, that, and the other. And so some of the sit down kind of, I don't know, organizational work of my stitching hasn't gotten done as much this month. So maybe I will bring this, I'll print off a copy of the cover sheet and maybe try to divide it with what, it's tough because I'm all over the place, right? So, but I might just divide it into 12 and say, okay, finish or completely stitch an area, so to speak. Given the fact that I've already got a bunch, it won't be as much in a piece. I might, if I can finish this area before I go there, you know, and do that breakup, then I can kind of just take that completely out and just break it up from here. So we'll see. But great idea. And I really liked seeing Dawn's and seeing how she's doing it as well. So have I stitched any yet? No. This piece here, if you'll notice, I haven't gotten to it yet, but down here we have bats. That was the connection I took from this pattern to the next. And I pulled out something you wouldn't have seen, because I don't think I've pulled it out since the end of last year, October's Marigold. So you can see when I work on these monthly, I do periodically pull them out when they fit a prompt. It works nicely. Because of the riff off, and then I had specific like St. Patrick's things I was doing, I did not work on March's Daffodil this week. But I think for the rest of the month, it's getting close to a finish. So I'm going to push for a finish by the end of this month on that one. So you won't see that this month, but you get to see October's Marigold instead from Cottage Garden Samplings. And as you can see, there are bats. So that was my connection there. And this is a cute one. This is, what is this? 18 count Ice Queen from Bestitchme. And the 18 count, if it's the same, you know how sometimes hand dyers, they kind of change their formulas a little bit or what's available and that. But this is actually a really nice gray, to be honest with you. I like it quite a bit. So what did I do? Oh, this. So all I had in here was just the black triangles. So I went back and I did all the orange, and then they're all filled in with white. So I did all of that. I did a couple of the orange letters, and I stitched the cat. So if I'm looking at it now, obviously I have all the words to do, but on this side, except for the words, it's done. And then the flowers are going to take quite a bit because, as you can see, they look really cool, but that means really paying attention to the pattern with the design of the flowers and everything else. So that's going to be a little bit, going to take me some time. But, I mean, thinking about it at this point, now this may come out at some point before October for more prompts, but if not, I have half the words to do. And then the flowers are this side border. Sometimes there's another border, but this is not. This is entire. So I could get this one done for October, I think. I looked at, when I wanted to figure out what fabric this was, I looked at my list from the Whip Parade. So I keep those lists because I made goals for everything, right? And so I looked at this one, and my goal was to have everything but the flowers done and have started on the flowers, at least by the end of October. I feel like I could actually, I mean, except for the words, maybe I try to find another prompt where the words are done. Then I would just have to tackle the flowers in October. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I think I'm using for Jardin Privé, I might be using this gray as well for one of the Halloween pumpkin party, maybe? I'm not sure. So this was the second to last, right? Yep. So the very last one, as you can see, there's a pumpkin here. And my connection was pumpkins. And that will be piece number 9. And that'll be the 9 pieces that I officially stitched for the riff off. And let me see. I had pulled this one out recently and I enjoyed stitching it so much. I said, let's pull it out because I have several pumpkin pieces, of course, because in October, if you've not been with me before, my birthday is in October and we have a hashtag pumpkin birthday stitch along, SAL. So you find something with a pumpkin, pumpkin colored, pumpkin adjacent, you name it. And it doesn't even have to be I was going to say purple pumpkin, an orange pumpkin. It could be, I mean, nowadays different pumpkins mean different things, right? So I'm pretty easy and open with that. Just to have fun and to stitch something together. And it doesn't have to be the same pattern. But anyway, so this is the piece that I stitched. Now I'm not at the pumpkin yet. And this is Owl Forest. It's called Autumn Still Life. And as you can see, they've used their own flosses, which are heavily variegated. I am not using their flosses for this. So I'm thinking I might, you know, the pumpkin colored, it was called Jack-o'-lantern from Roxy Floss. I'm thinking that I might stitch that pumpkin in that. And I don't know, there's 2 other pumpkins. So I might stitch the pumpkins, like for example, over here, there's another one. I might stitch them in that just to kind of distinguish them a little bit. I am also not a big fan of the DMC conversion of, you're gonna see it in a minute. That's this, which then becomes the sunflowers and stuff. So I don't necessarily need it variegated, but as you can see, it's kind of jarring compared with all the other colors, which are the called for DMC alternatives. So I think I am going to, I'm going to rip that out. I know I am. And I'm going to change whatever that symbol is. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff here is that symbol. And I hadn't made a decision yet. So I decided to work this way. I got in a groove with the border this way, and I did a little this way. And then I also got in a groove with some of this border here too. So I was working on, you know, there's the outdoor border, which is actually pretty easy once you get into the rhythm. I figured it out with that. And then you have this internal one, and there's different layers to it. So I'm doing kind of the initial one and then filling in some of the other stuff that goes with it. And then I wanted to stitch, I think down here, just to check to see if I liked that color. I think that's this color, but I wanted to make sure everything kind of went well. I'm not sure where that came from. And so I am liking it. And this is 18 count. It's Ocean Air by Fox and Rabbit. It's 18 count Ada. So yeah, really liking this one. And I'm kind of having fun thinking about, I pulled out the jack-o'-lantern. I had a lighter orange as well, but I like the jack-o'-lantern, and I really like how that looked on Cinnamon Stars. So I think I'm going to pull that. And then I did pull, I have a couple more rusty kind of looking ones, and I was thinking for this leaf here, you know, when I a lot of times will pick up, say, Color and Cotton or Classic Color, whatever, to kind of share with all of you in giveaways. Sometimes I pick an extra one up for myself, thinking, oh, at some point I might actually use some of these. And what I'm finding with the Roxy Floss is except for the one piece that I'm doing completely with the variegated floss, I think I like adding maybe little bits in here. Not necessarily the houses and stuff, because I don't necessarily want to put that much having to pay attention to what it looks like. But some of these other elements are just a lot of fun maybe to throw in some of the floss. You won't be seeing it on everything, but bits and pieces here and there, I think it might be fun just to add a few in. And I've started to collect some, so I might as well use them, right? I mean, that's what they're there for. So next, I only worked for full coverage. This is the only piece I worked on this week. I didn't work on it at all during the days that I was doing the riff off. And so once I finish that, I am trying to do a little bit on this every single day for the rest of the month of March. I kind of found it's kind of a comfort stitch. I'm enjoying it. And so I put aside for the week, this week, Mini Sunflower Cottage by Donna Gelsinger. So that will come out. It still hasn't gotten its 10 stitching days on it yet. So you'll see that one next week. But I just really wanted to stitch this one. And this is Mini Paris Morning. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork is by Uliana Babenko. And the little doggy is my absolute favorite, and it's going to take me forever to get there. Well, technically, because I did actually do a little bit of this floor here, so if I worked my way across, but here we go. So let me show you in whole, because I've got, that's top and bottom. That's the width of it. It's actually probably not much smaller or bigger, I should say, than my Black Vintage Sampler. It just doesn't have, you know, areas unstitched like that one does. But so 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross is how I've been stitching my full coverage. I did come down here and I had picked a color. So what I was doing was I was finding a color. There's a lot of confetti here with all of the leaves, not so much the sky, but all of the leaves. So I was periodically picking a color and doing some of that and then seeing where else I could work on it. And I almost got this color finished by working down here. I think there's only like 10 or 12 stitches left. I don't remember where they are. They might be somewhere where I'd have to count too much. So I said, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. So for the longest time, I did full coverage by paper. And I still love my paper, and for mostly everything else, it is paper. I'm not going to change all of my digitals over to using digital stitching because I really do like the idea of paper. But for full coverages, I was finding it a little bit too much. So I did end up getting Pattern Keeper. It's a little bit, for me, more intuitive than markup. I tried Knit Companion first before everything because I had an iPad, and I know Jan Hicks loves it, but it was not intuitive to my brain and I was having trouble with it. So I did not use that very much. And then I did try markup, and it wasn't, again, at first back when I was trying it too, they didn't have it where all of the pages would go together. You know what I mean? It was still page per page. But it still, I was having trouble. For me, using anything, I'm going to say technical. I mean, we're even talking about like the little buttons in my car. It has to be intuitive for me to really understand it. And if it's not, even if I have the instructions and I've read them, I kind of forget them and I get them muddled. So I said, markup's not 100% going to work for me. And again, I can try it again, and maybe I will at some other later date. But I think it was around not St. Patrick's, it was around Valentine's. So I said to Mo, I said, you know, I'm really thinking of doing this. I did the research. I just want a basic, not an iPad, but the other Android that can do Pattern Keeper and nothing else. And so that was my Valentine's gift. And then I got Pattern Keeper, and it is definitely much more from my brain here, intuitive. And I'm able to do it and use it pretty easily. And so it's been fun because then I jump around in a bunch of places. So that's how I now know if, like, I think I have only like 10 stitches left in one of these colors. So if you hear me talking about that, I did end up making the switch for my full coverage pieces. And I don't even know, there's a few that aren't the bigger companies. I don't know if they're going to work in Pattern Keeper. We'll see. I haven't put them in. I've been kind of doing it as I work on something because they all have marked offs on the paper. So me having to do all that takes some time. But so it's been fun in that sense too, because then I'll pick a piece. I ended up picking like a piece of confetti here, and as you can see, there's a few more, but I did fill in some more, and then I came over on this side because that color was still there, and I added some more on this side. So I've been going back and forth. There's no specific area I'm working on. I stitch in hand, so I can do pretty much any part of the pattern that I want. But I've really been trying not to just go to, I did one night, I didn't really, I don't know if it was last night, I was a bit headachy, but I wanted to stitch a little bit. So it's 8:19, so it's very light. You can't see it. But I did just go to something where there was a lot of color. And I just said, I just want to stitch 100 stitches somewhere around there. So, but for the most part, I've been trying to limit myself and say, find something and then find other places it goes, just to kind of fill in this, because otherwise I'm going to fill in all the big blocks and then I'm going to have a whole bunch of confetti and I'm not going to want to stitch it. So, and going forward now, when I start pieces, I'm sure I'll gravitate to big blocks at times just because, you know, it's fun sometimes, and sometimes that's what your brain needs. But I will be able to be more cognizant of the confetti a little bit more. So I do think overall it was worth it for me to make that jump and do it. But again, you know, I mean, if one of Knit Companion or say Markup RXP works for your brain, then I say go for it, whichever one works best for you. The other thing that I really like is I watch everything Flosstube wise on my iPad, and I know there's a way to do a picture-in-picture so that you can have a little picture of the Flosstube and then have, say if you're doing markup or whatever. But when I watch, I like to make you my full screen on my iPad, my Flosstubers. So that wouldn't work so well for me because I want to see all of the projects in the size of my iPad. So this works out well because I have the iPad higher than my Pattern Keeper device. My brain today. And so I'm able to see them on 2 levels, and it works out really well. Okay, so next. Now we're coming to St. Patrick's Day. And St. Patrick's Day, I did veer off of the riff off because I really wanted to do some things. And so I kind of ended, I don't know if I did any, I think I kind of ended it as of when I wanted to do some of my St. Patrick's things. So I think it went all the way to say Tuesday at something, but I stopped it early. So I did this first. I wanted to get that finished done on St. Patrick's Day, which I did. And then I pulled out, because you know I've been working on him. I've been working on my gnome. So I call him the St. Patrick's gnome. I'm not sure what the official title is. They're all St. Patrick's gnomes, really. Wonder Stitch UA. There's Wonderland Ukraine, Wonder Stitch UA. They're both the same company, I believe. And all the gnomes were these gnomes were moved over to Wonder Stitch UA. Wonderland UA has a different design of gnomes on them. Or Wonderland Ukraine, excuse me. So this is the one of the 3 that I chose to stitch. And I was watching, was I stitching on him? I don't know if I pulled him out. I was watching Karen, the Stitching Owl. Hello, Karen. And she is doing a gnome, but she's doing a smaller one. And she put out the challenge to say, which one of us is going to finish our gnome first? Her or me? Karen, you are going to finish yours way before mine is ever finished. I can pretty much guarantee that. So this guy got stitching on St. Patrick's Day, and then I pulled him out again earlier, another day during the week as well. And I got tired when I was stitching it. I almost have, so I have this completely finished, this side, the middle of the kind of shamrock is filled in, clover, shamrock, whatever you want to call it. And then I just have that little area right there to do. And then these are all really nicely mixed in color-wise. Did I do some more? I did do some of this because that was the same color. So I kind of pulled over in that way. And I might have done some more there as well. So this is an 18 count. It's an opal. Can you see the sparkle? Opal Water Nymph by Bestitchme. And it's just so fun. I'm clearly not going to stitch the background square because I have this as the background for him instead. And he was my 25/7 stitch. I was working on him every day for about 25 minutes during March. But now that St. Patrick's is done and I worked on it a little bit more, I want to get that March piece finished. So that is probably going to come out every day for about 25 minutes to get that one finished. So he's going to go away, which is clearly why I know Karen's going to win this round. So I had to start this on St. Patrick's Day. And if you follow me on either Instagram or my Facebook group, you'll know that I started it, and you'll see that I did change up a little bit about the flosses and the fabric. This is Life Happens, and it is from Georgia Girl Stitching. And it's just so fun, and it's almost like a requirement on St. Patrick's Day that you start something like this. So I did. And so let me show you. Let me pull out what I have here and what I'm using. So I'm only using 3 colors, which is really kind of nice. And, oh, let me make sure I have the right title of this one. Okay. This is what it looks like. Actually, I could fold this over. I don't need to show you all of that. So here's my darling David again from Those Missing Stitches. And I did purposely use this section. You can see there was different areas I could have used, but I really liked kind of that movement kind of thing, and I just thought it was fun kind of using this instead. So I did use this corner purposely. Now, on this, so Megan has given DMC alternatives as well as she has used variegated flosses, over-dyed flosses. And in the pattern, the border is different than, I know these two. I'm not sure if it's all four. I decided I'm going to use a variegated that I happen to have because I don't have that many. And I'm going to do the whole thing with that variegated. And then I did change up, I think, what color was called for the, where it says life and beer. She had one alternative for DMC, but I did change that a little bit. So what am I using for the variegated? It is Roxy Floss Co. because, you know, I had played around and ordered a bunch when I was doing my dragon. And it's a mess, I know. Because I don't use variegates very often, I don't have all the fancy, pretty ways of showing them. It's called Emerald Isle. I mean, how perfect is that, right? So that's what I'm stitching with. I am not doing anything specific because, again, I'm not that talented with the overdyes to, you know, play around with some sort of designs. I'm going to just see what happens. I'm going to roll with it. And so I have that. The words are in black, so I have my anchor black for that. And then I can't remember what the called for was, but I have some of this 782. And I think if for some reason, I almost went golder, but I kind of liked this deeper kind of yellowish brown in the end. If when I stitch it in, the colors don't match. I mean, obviously it looks fine here as the full skein, but I don't know when I put in just the two strands what it'll look like. So if I need to change, I will, but at the moment that's what I plan. So these are basically the three colors that I plan on using on this piece. And I have to say, this border's been so fun to do already. It's not hard to count. Thank you, Megan. And a lot of fun. And I just think this is just, in theory, this one could get finished this year. It's very easy to read. If you've never done any of Georgia Girl's patterns, she patterns very well. It's very easy to read them. She has digitals. This one I happen to have as a hard copy because she had some printed, I believe, for a trunk show, and I wanted as a giveaway. How fun was that? Because I love her stitching. And so it was just fun to win one of her patterns as a hard copy. She has them on Etsy and she has them on Gumroad. So I have her already listed because I was talking about her for the Hawran Hollow. So she doesn't need to be listed again. Just look up the list and you'll find her there. All right, so the very last piece I worked on, this one is most definitely kind of a comfort piece. And I don't know, I'm not sure why. Oh, I know why I stitched, forget it. No, well, I do enjoy it. It is a comfort piece. But on Sunday, which was also St. Patrick's Day, so yes, so there was the start, the full finish, and this one I wanted to stitch on. And then for the rest of the week after that, I just was catching up and doing some more stitches in my pieces. Beth, I gotta slow down. Beth, the Steadfast Stitcher, she has a Crafts and Books Facebook group, and she does a monthly book club. And so this past month was Fourth Wing. And if you don't know me, I love Fourth Wing. I've enjoyed both of the books in this series, impatiently waiting for book 3. And so we were talking Fourth Wing, and this is my dragon stitch, and it is my Fourth Wing dragon stitch. So it had to be stitched on while we were discussing the book. And then I worked on it later on that day some more, and I wasn't feeling well, and this one was again a nice easy kind of stitch. So I said, you know what, I'm pulling this out again. And it's called Celtic Dragon, and it is by 2x2 Stitch Art. If I'm wrong on that, I will let you know, but I'm almost sure that's who it's by. And I am using 3 different deep blues, and I am modeling the dragon after Zayden's dragon. So that's why I'm using the blue. I am using Roxy Floss for the dragon, and then this element right here, 2 different colors, and then I will use a DMC for that border. But I am using She's So Blue, let me show you, from Roxy Floss. Is that She's So Blue? Yeah. To do the dragon, because Zayden's dragon is blue. So this is what I have. Let me show you this full fabric. This is 18 count Phoenix from Bestitchme. Isn't it amazing? It's one of those fabrics that is absolutely amazing. And you could break it up and do smalls depending on which part you need, right? But sometimes you're not sure exactly what to stitch on this, right? But this is perfect for a dragon kind of piece that I just love it. I had wanted to stitch this, and then when the Hugo Stitcher and Fibers and Floss Canada started the hashtag yearofthedragonsal, again, information will be down below, I said, well, this is the dragon I'm going to work on for that. Absolutely. So there we go. Now, I am new to variegated floss, so keep that in mind. And as you can see, the dragon becomes different colors in sections because, I mean, the floss changes colors as we go. I don't exactly know if that's a good or bad thing the way I'm stitching it, but I think when it's in its totality, it's total, it's done, completeness, plus you have the darker color here and then the darker color there, I don't think it'll necessarily be super jarring. I mean, as you can see, there is a difference in color, but I think we're going to go dark again at some point, right? So I think it'll be fine. Honestly, it'll be fine for me. I know for some of you who are very skilled with overdyes and you might not like that kind of look, but I think it's kind of cool. So there we go. There is my dragon. And I really do enjoy this. Again, it's monochromatic, so I adore monochromatic pieces. I find they're just a lot of fun to just keep going and get your stitches in, and it gives me a chance to really highlight fabric sometimes. So, you know, if I had a bazillion different color changes on a piece on something like this fabric, it might get a little lost, but something like this, and believe you me, I do that on some of my stitches. Look at my Haunted Library, right? But sometimes you just want the fabric to be just, and it's just gonna pop in among all these areas. I mean, when we get to the next section, you know, I mean, you're gonna have that fabric flowing through there and through all these different areas, and it's just gonna look so lovely. So I am planning on doing She's So Blue, a perfect title, and then Planetarium will be that section there, and then just, I think it's 939 for the outer border. So yeah, so that's my last stitch. So those are all the things that I stitched this week, and I had a lot of fun. I really did like the riff off. It was the first time I'd ever done that, and so I planned it, to be honest with you. I picked out, and like I said, I went to 12. I just didn't get to 12. I had planned out all of those stitches ahead of time, and then that way I was just able to go from one to each. I took my pictures of all the starting pictures at the beginning, so this way I had them, because I am notorious for forgetting to take pictures. And so that way then I just had to remember to take the ending pictures and then just upload everything to the Facebook group. So I actually did it right for a change. Doesn't always happen that way. And I have the pictures for my I Spy. If you would like to try a kind of game, I do have a Facebook group, Stitching by the Shore, Laura, and we do an event called I Spy, where I take 10 prompts and you try to spy them on your projects. And if you want to play around with taking the before and after pictures, just go to the events section and join us. If you want to just do it at home without taking pictures, that's cool too, whatever works for you. And you do not have to be a member of Facebook. I do provide the prompts. And if you go to my community section, this month's prompts are up. Alrighty, so what are my plans? I have way too many starts planned. I've got to start going on the Aston Villa stitch for Mo. This is a 20 count, is it? Yeah, 20 count slate, right slate from Fiber Runaway. So I was really thinking of using this and then using sulkies. And who knew there was 3 different maroon sulkies? So I need him to leave the house one of these days. we always seem to leave the house together. I haven't been home alone since he's been back, and I should have done it then, but did I? No. I didn't have all of these colors in. So those are my 3 options for the maroon. And then I have 2 different options for the blue. And then I'll show you what my yellow options are. You know what? I'll just show them to you now. I basically went to 1 2 3 Stitch, found all the sulky yellows, and I ordered them. And then I have to figure out which one actually works. And then I have to figure out how many stitches. I don't know how many stitches a sulky little petite takes, and if I have to buy any more of these little spoolie things or not. If you know how many it does, let me know. This pattern won't be it's not, I don't think, anything I could do digitally, but so I won't be able to count how much of each, but at least I'll have some sort of idea. The yellow should be fine for the lion, but the maroon and the blue, there's a lot, especially the blue, because there's all that fill-in since I couldn't find a blue I liked. So I need to bring up Mo's shirt, and I need to put all of these onto the shirt and see which ones match perfectly. And then I thought the gray would be nice. I'll use 1 strand on the 20 count with the sulky, and I think it'll fill it in nicely, but it's kind of a neutral background as well. So that's what I want to do with that. So I have to get that started. Our 25th wedding anniversary is in September, and I want to get it done for then. And time is flying. We are already at the end of March almost. So, you know, I got to get moving. I was going to start this on the first day of spring, but I kind of, with the riff off and then my start on St. Patrick's, was a little overwhelmed, and so I just didn't. But I do want to start this for spring. Technically, did you know spring started at 11:06 on the 19th? So Wednesday the 20th was the first day of spring, really. I didn't know that. I haven't figured out which of the fabrics I want to do on this one yet. So this is Jan Hicks, Carolyn's Balloons Spring. So that is a start that I have planned this month. I'm only going to show you the front page. I'm doing the Ink Circles Garden of Zig Secret Stitch Along. So I think I have my fabric and floss colors figured out on that one. So we will see, because I can't show it to you till it's completely done. That's the whole secret part of it. So super exciting. If you want to hear more about that, go to the Hathaway Stitchers. I'll link them down below, because they are the ones that are running the whole show with that secret stitch and the Garden of Zig. So there's that. And then I have 2 kind of stitch alongs I am starting, because, you know, why not have a gazillion stitch alongs, and why not do more projects? So Cross Stitch Magazine. This is the spring 2024. If you watch Georgia Girl Stitching, you know that her and I are starting this, but Megan had reached out to anybody who wanted to stitch this, and it is the He Is Risen piece, and it is charted by Lucy Lau of Lucy Lau Designs. I am so sorry, because I completely messed that up. Let me see if I can see, if you can see the name right there. But Lisa Lau, I don't know. So anyway, is hashtag He Is Risen SAL if you would like to join us. Megan has made a bunch of color conversions to overdyes. I have gotten only so far as pulling out the DMCs. I have no idea of my fabric yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to change any of the colors. I know Stitching Mommy. I was watching her this week, and she had mentioned this stitch along. She decided to do, she's doing a full coverage that is beautiful, beyond beautiful, that she's kind of starting, she's going to work on all Easter weekend. So if you want to see, if you don't watch Stitching Mommy and you want to see the full coverage that she's going to do, it is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and then April 2nd, I think we decided, page 58. Here we go. April 2nd, I am stitching so far with, I know Debbie, Debbie, I do this every time, Glitter Dove Fairy on Instagram is stitching this with me, and I believe Sandy, Stitching with Sandy, is going to as well. And Sandy stitched this she did the model stitch for the magazine. Isn't it beautiful? So she's going to stitch a version for herself as well. I am going to change up the colors of the rain. I think they're a little, what I have in my mind, and I'll show you when I get to it. We're starting this April 2nd. Do I have fabric? No. Do I have the changes yet for colors? No. Once I get through this weekend, the last week of March is going to be much calmer than the entire rest of my month, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm going to do a bit more planning. So things are to come. But I did want to mention them because Good Friday is next Friday, isn't it? So if you wanted to join us on the He Is Risen, I probably won't be starting that until after I film next week. But, and then April 2nd is not far behind. So if you have the magazine or you wanted to get it and you wanted to join in either of those stitches, those are starts coming up as well. And I think out of those, 2 were originally planned, excuse me, going into the year. So I'm clearly going and jumping into that whole start land. Okay, shopping. I only have one shopping order. I did order from 123 Stitch. I did end up getting a couple things from Market. But really, I had only one that I absolutely had to get. Well, no, then I think this other one's from Market as well. So I said I'm going to do a 123 Stitch. I did order a couple. I always order a couple packs of needles and usually some anchor floss. Each time I order, you don't need to see that. And I think I ordered a few DMCs that I cannot for the life of me get at my Michael's. I was just there yesterday and I have a list of the ones that I usually can't get. Could I get them? Nope. They were not there yet again. So a lot of times I try to add some of those to my 123 Stitch order. I have been collecting all of the houses. So this is the Cottage from the Fabulous House series, Cottage Garden Samplings. So that's house number 4. I picked that up. I have no idea when I'm stitching them. I don't know if I'll stitch all 12. We'll just have to see. I thought this was adorable. So I did get You Got This from the Artsy Housewife. Yeah. I love the look of the owl. I love, you know, you got this kind of thing. I just love everything about it. When I'll start it, I have no idea. I did pick up Quaint Quakers #2 Summer from Quaint Rose Needle Arts. Now, I know many of you who are border lovers are going to hate that I'm saying this, and I am not setting it in stone, so just wait, just wait. But I am debating, I'm going to do what Kathy from 2 Needles Pulling Thread does and really think about whether or not I want to stitch a border. I want to say recently she did stitch a border, but it's beautiful. It is completely beautiful, beautiful all the way around with flowers. But I am fast learning that I really don't like stitching those little stops and starts like that. I just don't. So I'm really concerned that I would get going and started and this entire project would stall. So what I'm going to do, I am going to stitch, there is kind of like a little, what would be like a knotted border. I'll stitch that around and all the inside. And then I want to see what it looks like. Maybe what I'll do then is stitch, try these corner flowers or something else around the edge. I don't know. But I think it's beautiful. I want to stitch the inside. I am just not sure that this project would ever get completed. I'm starting to learn more about my likes and dislikes when it comes to stitching. Dislikes is a strong word. Preferences. And I just don't prefer that constant stop and start type of thing. So we'll see. And then this is the one I absolutely had to have. This was probably my favorite from Market, and it is Arabesque from Jan Hicks Creates. I absolutely love this one. And I do love this color. I don't know what it's charted in. There is a DMC conversion. What I'm thinking though, the DMC conversion's $4.98. Let me see what that one looks like. Because conveniently I have it right here. So it's this color, which is really pretty. And I think depending on what I use for fabric, I will think about it. For my paper crafters, my Stampin' Up paper crafters, one of my most favorite colors of ink and paper. I don't think I have any within reach because I do have my cardstock down here, is Rose Red from Stampin' Up. I don't know if they still have that color in their lineup or not. I loved stamping with that color ink on, you know, like a lighter color. I probably wouldn't use white, but maybe like on a gray. And I loved the cardstock color. So I really would love to find a floss color that was rose red, like the Stampin' Up Rose Red. So if any of you combine Stampin' Up stamping and stitching, and you just happen to know off the top of your head which DMC would be that color, or something that maybe isn't DMC, you know, maybe sulky, or, you know, I'm willing to have fun with this. I think I'd like to do some sort of rose red color on that. So when that started, I don't know. And then this last one, is it Allison, you're stitching this, right? She started stitching this, and I had to get it. Cross Stitch the Globe. If you look on, is it Allison at the moment on Instagram? If you go to Cross Stitch the Globe, their Flosstube, and you look, we'll see what their Instagram handles are. She started this one, and there's a stitch along, and I can't remember the person that she's stitching along with. It's Tiny Alice Sal is what it is. And I have enjoyed so much stitching my Wizard of Oz tree, which is almost done. I'm going to start this one before Wizard of Oz is done. I can guarantee it. But I'm starting this one sooner rather than later. I absolutely love it. I think I know what fabric I want to do it on. I just have to make sure all of that white will show up on that, because there's a lot of white here. So if it does, that's what I'm going to use. So this one, I'm not going to say it's definitely started by the next time I see you, but it's going to be started soon. Tiny Alice Sal, if you are interested. It is so cute. And these trees are so much fun to do. I wonder if it's the same size as my Wizard of Oz. I'll have to look and see. That'd be kind of cool. All right, so that's my shopping. That's what I've done. Real quick, because we were getting near the longer sides of the videos, and I don't think I have anything coming as far as I know. I mean, there's always the fabric of the months. I never know when they'll come, but there are a couple digital things that I have in the back of my mind that I would like to pick up, but you never know. There is a project I want to do for Christmas that I have to start thinking about starting if I'm going to get it done. Chubby Birds was my giveaway from last week, and it was Sally, I'm going to say Deem. Sally Deem? Sally, if I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. You won this, so I haven't heard yet. If you could just get back to me. Now, I had recently heard from somebody who their original email got lost, and then their second one went to spam, and I was just happy accident that I went and I looked at the spam folder. So I do look at spam on Instagram, Facebook. Well, Facebook doesn't really have spam, and my Gmail. So, but if you sent it and you don't hear from me, please reach out, because it could have just been lost. My Gmail sometimes does that. I don't know why. Now, because I am filming early, I am not going to pick a winner for this one this week, because I want to give everybody the full week's time to watch. So if you watched this last week and you forgot or decided that you did want to enter, the code word is jelly. Go back to last week's video number 208, and put the word jelly, and that Jelly, and that's where I will pick a winner for this one next week. I am going to do a giveaway this week, though. When I bought Quaker Summer one for me, I bought one for you as well. So this one's in the plastic, brand new from 123 Stitch. Just say the word sale, S-A-I-L. Who is it, the song that they just yell sale? Oh, is it Imagine Dragons? I don't remember. I'm going to think of that every time I see this now. Sale. But anyway, say that word in this video, and I will pick a winner. So next week, I will pick 2 winners. As always, please be at least 18. Please don't say giveaway or free. I would appreciate it if you are a subscriber, but I am not checking. That is on your honor. And I give winners 2 weeks from when I call their names. And if I don't hear from you within 2 weeks, then I will pick a new winner. And I do remind at the 1 week mark. And if for whatever reason I didn't do a video at the 1 week mark, you'd always have an extra video reminder. I wouldn't just skip the reminder at all. But after 2 weeks, I do go back and I just pick a new winner so that I can just keep cycling these things out. Okay, so that's that. Those are the rules and everything else. So that's the stitching part of this. It's a long, for being an earlier video, filmed earlier, it's still a long video. So if you're only here for the stitching, then I hope you have a great week and I will see you next time. Life stuff, again, there's just a lot of, this is the time of the year where I've just stacked up all sorts of doctor's appointments and this and that. And, you know, this doctor's appointment means you need to do this test because of this and that and everything else. So I'm just pretty much doing that. Like I said, after this week, I think I have a month before then I need to go to the skin doctor and get that yearly checkup. And then the eye doctor and the dentist and all that other stuff. So anyway, it's not been a ton of barrel of laughs, but you know, hey, these things need to be done. And so you just get them done and over with. And the way I look at it, if I get it all done at the beginning of the year, then the end of the year is smooth sailing. So that's my thinking, at least. So, anyway, I guess that's about it. There wasn't much that went on this weekend. We had some really nice weather over the weekend, and then it turned cold, and so it's cold now. And it's supposed to rain this weekend, so it is the way it is, right? Spring is, well, we are now in spring, so hopefully our spring weather will start to blossom a little bit, and we'll have a chance to enjoy some of that kind of outdoorness without having to wear Mo wears 1,000 layers because I am my own personal heating system nowadays. I wear maybe 1 layer. We had a few nice days, and I had to, up here in my crafting area, I had to switch over the little thermostat-y thing. It had to go to cooling because it was way too hot up here, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it at all. So anyway, so that's about it. I hopefully will be much more kind of zen and relaxed next week because I won't be running this way and that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my visit with you next week. But until then, I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I know there's lots of kind of stuff going around, so please take care of yourself, both physically and take care of yourself mentally. You are important and you matter. So please make sure each and every day you take time to do something just for yourself and feed that part of yourself that needs that little extra specialness because you are special. All right, until next time, happy stitching.